We can't afford good bumper music, so this is the best we can do. Hello, shalom, and welcome to Chat with the Docs. This is Dr. Noel, and I am Mo, the acupuncturist here at the Salome Center for Traditional and Integrative Medicine here in Janesville, Wisconsin. And this has become our weekly time to connect with you and give you some free FaceTime with some healthcare practitioners. And so what we're going to do is, as is our custom, we're going to talk about some issues, and then we're going to turn it over to your questions. First thing you'll notice is we are not on Zoom right now. Huh? You appreciate that, don't you? The reason we're not doing Zoom is because too many people were having a hard time with trying to log in and get that thing working. So we're trying it through YouTube, which is a lot more simple platform, and hopefully more of you will be able to enjoy this. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about this week and address was the fact that social distancing does not equal isolation. And there's a lot of people that struggle with depression, particularly a lot of veterans that struggle with depression, and a lot of you guys and gals have developed different hobbies and different ways of coping over the years, but now you can't even go out and go to Menards and pick up your equipment and your tools and your supplies to do your hobbies. So what are you going to do? So we wanted to just touch on this, and the most important thing that we can just beg you to do, I don't want to challenge you to do something. Let me challenge you. That means that I have no chutzpah. I want to tell you to do something and beg you to do something, and that is check on each other. We have these things called smartphones. And I'm sure if you need to, you can find a book called Smartphones for Dummies. So far, no one's mailed me one, and I appreciate it. But the neat thing about these things is not only can you call and talk voice like the old days, but you can actually see each other. And for heaven's sakes, utilize the camera, look at each other, touch each other through presence. Check on each other, because I can make it sound like I'm doing pretty good if your eyes are closed, but when you're looking at me and you see that I haven't shaved in 3 weeks, I haven't combed my head, bathed, I'm wearing the same clothing with mustard stains on it for 3 weeks, that's a red flag. Check on each other. And this is the time where we need to be putting our faith in action, and we need to be walking out and demonstrating the love of our Messiah to one another. Doc, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, you were saying, you can't hide it when you're looking at somebody on the camera. Like you said, you can be in pajamas. I've seen a meme pop up. I have my morning pajamas and my night pajamas, and that's almost a sign of depression in itself. Yeah. It's one thing if you got a weekend and you've, had a long week and you just don't want to do it for let's say a day or two. But now we're going on with a month of this for some people that they have been self-quarantined, and, if you're not taking the initiative to change your clothes, put some jeans on. Quarantine 15 is a real thing, and now we're going on a month. And if you can start to feel it in your sides, if you don't want to see it on the scale, but there's other ways you can tell, put some jeans on, see where you're at if you don't want to jump on that scale. You got to do something to have some repetition in your new schedule.
Well, and you listen to the people who have survived the Soviet gulags. You listen to the people who survived the concentration camps. You listen to people who have survived isolation. You talk to soldiers who have survived deployments in Afghanistan, these real remote FOBs. And what do they all have in common? They have consistency and they have self-discipline, forcing themselves to get up and go through a routine, even if it's just you're in a 4x4x4 cube. You can't even stand up all the way. But even if it's just to get up, do some movement, some exercise to put a scrape on the wall, whatever you've got to do to make sure you're doing a routine.
Yeah.
Develop a routine, do it. Get cleaned up, take a shower, shave,
Make yourself feel good.
make yourself feel clean, make yourself feel human. We need these things. Make yourself a routine where you are calling certain people at certain times. It's good for them because then they can expect your call. Then they're getting sucked into a routine. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people pop in on you at home and, you kind of want to have your area straightened out. You don't want people thinking you're a mess. It's kind of the same thing. You pop in on them.
No, they can
Make
look
sure
me in
they're
the
not
eye
a
and
mess.
know I'm a mess.
Yeah, no, it's important. Keep yourself going. I was letting my hair kind of just air dry, and I wasn't even putting hairspray in it. And got to the point where it's just like, yeah, we need to start doing it a little bit more again. Even though we're not really going out in public that much, it's like you still need to have some self-worth and keep going and have that routine. So,
Yeah. We are in what does the governor call it here? Safer at home policy, as opposed to a lockdown policy or quarantine policy, which is what it is. It's just nicer language. By the way, did you ever notice he looks like an elf on the shelf?
I have. He's very lanky and
Governor Evers, which I know you're never going to watch this, but if somebody around can get it to him that he needs to show up at a press conference or something with an elf hat, we would appreciate it.
I might even mail him one if we can get him to do that.
Well, I think it would be smashing, quite personally. But just because we are in a quarantine time doesn't mean that you have to be locked in your innermost room of your house. We live in America. America. We got these things called lawns, Don't you know it now?
The weeds are growing.
We got lawns with the weeds. It is spring here in Janesville, Wisconsin. This is our first day above 70, hence the Hawaiian shirt. And you see, you just thought I had no taste. There's a reason for this. Get outside, clean your yard, do some landscaping. Just because you need to be self-distancing yourself from other people doesn't mean you can't enjoy your property. It means that today it's nice and sunny. You can't even see out the door there because it's so bright. Go outside and get some vitamin D. That's going to help you more than making masks out of underwear, making masks out of your Lululemon shorts, or what do those guys sell?
Yeah, I think Lululemon.
Lululemon.
Yeah, Lululemon ones.
It's being outside, getting some sunshine, getting some fresh air, working a little bit, exerting your body. What happens when you exert yourself? Endorphins. What else happens? Your blood pressure goes up a little bit, right? Which then the endorphins kick in, and the endorphins cause some vasodilation, which then makes your blood pressure come down, but your heart's still pumping a little harder. You're doing exercise.
Yeah.
You're moving your liver chi. Get outside.
It's worth it. It's going to make you feel happy. It's not happy staying in all the time. It makes you feel like you're sick even though you're not.
Pretend you're a kid. And I don't know what your experience was, but this was my experience. I would get up in the morning and I would go outside and I'd come back in and I'd make my breakfast and make a mess. And after a short while, my mother would say, go outside and pack yourself a lunch and don't come back until dinner. Pretend you have a mother like that. Go outside. Pack yourself a picnic. Eat it in the yard. Get outside and move your body. Uh, so that things don't get away from us. By the way, I think this switch to YouTube is working. We already have 7 people watching.
Cool.
Yeah,
A lot better.
it's better than the 2 last time. Hey, we've made it to the big time. What we wanted to do today was we wanted to talk about self-care, things that you can be doing, because just because the whole world is shut down doesn't mean that your aches and pains stop, doesn't mean that your stress stops, doesn't mean that life stops.
Yes.
So we're gonna enter a world that is different from what my world is. A world of sights and sounds, of snap, crackle, and pop. No offense.
Cairo Town.
Cairo Town. Some very strange zoning there. And we're going to go to you, Doc Noel, and I'm going to try to get behind the camera so that you can be in the shot. And Dr. Noel is going to demonstrate to you some self-care things that you can be doing at home. If you don't have the foam roller, if you don't have the industrial-sized whoopee cushion, then you can.
We have other ways we'll find that, I can give you some tips that you can make do with what you got at home.
Or you can order it on Amazon. They're still open.
Something's got to be. So. All right, so I'm going to go over starting at the top of the head, and then I'm going to work my way down. So right now, it's spring, it's the allergy season. The trees are budding right now, and I know that pollen count has been high this week. I watched that. I've actually been doing pretty good this year with mine, and I'm thankful for that. So you can do some work for your sinuses, though, to help them release. So I did wash my hands prior to this. Everybody else should too if they're touching their face. You don't want to just do it now if you've been doing other things. But a different way that you can release your sinuses is you go right about here, right before your eyebrows, do light pressure, like this light of pressure, not hard pressure, just light.
About like the weight of a nickel, right?
Yeah, not very high pressure. But in my fingers, you can do any of them, and then I kind of pull back towards the eyebrows. Do it a few times. You can do it even 10. I mean, it might feel good. You might start to feel a little bit of movement going on there because you have sinuses all through here and down through here. My next one, you come down like this. You get it next to your nose. You'll actually feel your nose probably get bigger as you do it. That's a good thing. You're opening it up. Go down through there. You can do the back of your head. Maybe some pressure points through here. You'll feel some movement going on. You can do a little bit more pressure with the back of your head. This is a tight muscle anyways when we look down at our devices, which I'm sure a lot of you are right now. So those are the suboccipital muscles. You bring that down. And then we're going to go into our neck. So a lot of people are doing, pretend this is a phone, we're doing this all day long. You're not meant to be like this. This is all going to be very tight. I guarantee you're tight through your shoulders.
Can you show them on Slim
I can show you on Slim.
where you're talking about, what bony landmarks
Yeah,
you're talking
so-
about?
I'm going to move this over quick. All right, so
Come in a little closer if you can.
for the sinuses, hopefully I didn't rub my eyebrows off from before. If I did, I apologize. You want to hit
You
right
rubbed
above
his
the-
eyebrows off.
You want to start right about through here and come out so you'll feel that bony ridge here. You don't want to go into your eye socket where it starts to dip here. And you're going to go out.
Oh, that's an advanced interrogation technique. We'll be covering that in a later episode.
Perfect. So you want to come like that. And you get down to the nose. You kind of start where the bridge is. And then you're going out just light. I do it a few times. You're not going to overdo it. You'll get sick of it before you overdo it. So those are good ones to open up the sinuses that way. And then you can get down to the occiput, which is the base of the skull. Your suboccipital muscles that sit right about through here. You'll feel them through here. Most of us, it's pretty tight. little cell phone usage, and I'm sure it's up right now with being at home. So I start at the top and I go down, just like I was doing here. You're going down, either with fingers like this or like that. And then it's going to bring it into our neck. You're probably feeling tension across your shoulders here, into your neck. So for that, you can keep going down with your fingers, do a little bit of self trigger point in through those knots. You can hold it about for 10 seconds each knot, then move on. 10 seconds is enough when you're putting more pressure on it. Otherwise, if you have a tennis ball at home, a lacrosse ball, that's my favorite. Not everybody has access to that right now, but you can go along, your neck like that too. You can roll it right here, roll it down, get it into here. You can do this at home. You don't have to do it on your couch, but if you need to, you can. And I'm hitting points here with it, rolling here. If you want to get in between where your shoulder blade and your back is, you go against the wall. So, or a door. Don't do it on the paint mumbled like that. So,
I don't know. It'd give you something to do when you have to repaint it.
Yeah, that's true. So how I do that, can you see me on the camera there?
Yep.
Yeah. So how I'll do it, I'll go on the door personally. I'll hold it about right here if you can. Not everybody has that much flexibility, but that's okay. You just get it where you can. You can do it here or here. You bring it to the wall like that so that I'm not holding it anymore. I got pressure. And then you go up and down. You get a nice little self-massage at home. You can help get things in line a little bit better for you. Kind of undo some of this posture all day. So that takes, with the neck, form of hitting some trigger points up, and also work on strengthening the front of the muscles of the neck. That one, I guarantee you, almost everybody has a weak, front of their neck unless they're intentionally trying to strengthen it. So a way you can do that is get in good posture. Don't be doing this. It's not good for cervical musculature or the discs or anything. So get yourself in good posture. Put your hand right here. Resist. Feel these muscles contract like that. You're doing it straight forward. And I do it, I'll count to 10. I'll relax for 5. And then I'll do it again for 10 seconds. You do that over 2 minutes. That's enough. Strengthen that a little bit. The stronger it is in the front, that's the less work the back is going to have to do if you're already having the back pain. So that's a good one for the neck. You can also do some of the stretches where you drop your shoulder and go this way with it. You'll feel it really pull through here. Opposite side. Just bring yourself through, get a little bit of motion. Bring it back. That should help with the neck to loosen it up a little bit. Another thing you can do with your mid-back, if you don't want to do it with the ball, I think the ball's a little bit easier because usually somebody has something at home, whether it's a tennis ball or a dog Kong or something like that. Even if you take your fist and kind of work it back there if you're alone, at least it's something. But if you have a foam roller at home, you can also get your mid-back with that as well. That is something they have off of Amazon, and I will show you how to use it for your mid-back to start. So the one I like, it's almost like a pool noodle texture. It's not, with huge ridges.
Pool linguine.
Yes. It doesn't have the huge ridges on it. I don't like to use those. Those are too rough. So I will go put it on the floor like that. Come down like I'm in a crab walk, just like we used to teach in swimming lessons where you're up like that because then you can control. I'll set it behind me that my hands are like this and I can hold it to get started. And then up like that. It's comfortable because it's a soft noodle foam roller. So then you can go up and down like this and get your lower back. You just have to walk more forward. You can get up higher. So that's one way to do that. You don't have to go full bore into it, put all your weight into it if you don't want. You can play with it a little bit. You can do the sides of your legs as you come down. You can do the whole body. I wouldn't stay too long if you take it down into your lower back, because that's sometimes a little bit too much pressure if you're not used to it. But as you go from the mid back to the lower back, you can kind of quarter yourself over. And you're getting that QL in through there, or the big muscle of the lower back. You can do that both sides. So those are some good ones for the mid back. Well, can you think of anything else for the neck or the mid back? as far as like self-care or
Sure,
stretching,
sure.
I can demo it if you tell me what to do.
Well, we were talking just a little bit ago. I'm gonna grab a pen here. We were talking just a little bit ago about one of your patients was having some neck pain right across the traps, right in through here. Are we in the shot?
I don't know. Maybe now.
We'll turn this. It won't be real time, but it'll be something. Yeah, it's something. But this individual was having pain right across the top of the shoulders, radiating down into the arms. Something very basic that you can be doing acupressure-wise. Find yourself a pen or some sort of probe instrument. If you can't find one, just wait for the alien abduction. I hear they've got plenty. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Genes have been cruel. But you take your pen and you go between the webbing of your fingers, right in between the knuckles. There's a nice little plane. You have the top of your hand, and then it slants downward in a nice little plane. And right about midway in there, you press in. And you just kind of rub that area with the pen, and you relax your hand and your fingers. The idea is you want the probe pressing in and making as much pressure on the tissue as you can. And if you've got a pen like this that's got sharp on the inside of the little hole, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. All right. But what you'll find is as you go from one knuckle to the next, you're going to probably feel this tissue along the occiput, along the scalenes here, down through the top of the shoulder. You're going to feel that start to loosen up a little bit. And you don't want to be living on these points, pressing these points, but you can certainly be pressing it on a regular basis a couple times an hour if you need to, if you're really desperate. For pains then in the forearm, say that pain's radiating down the forearm, coming down between the radius and ulnar bones here, and you can feel that trough in between the bones here.
Bring our dude over.
Come here, Slim. Come here, boy. Come on. And we have the radius and the ulnar bone here, radius and ulnar, and you've got this neat little trough right between these bones. That corresponds to right through here. That corresponds to that Xiaoyang vessel, that arm Xiaoyang, or what it translates. Yep. What the other name for it would be the Sanjiao vessel. So you have Xiaoyang Sanjiao. Sanjiao would be the name of the actual organ that it's associated with. That Sanjiao vessel comes up the hand and comes up and comes across the top of the shoulder and up into the side of the neck here along the scalene muscles. So all of the tissue associated with that is going to be into this Xiaoyang. So one of the things that I do in my practice with the acupuncture is I'm going to find a place on the body where I can mirror image. And I'm going to go, if it's on the left side, I'm going to go to the right foot. And I'm going to come out here to the right foot, and I'm going to mirror image it. So if it's on the front, coming down between the two bones, well, you'll notice we've got two bones on the foot. This is not the time to say the leg bone's connected to the hip bone. Although I suppose you could. But you'll notice that this trough here between the two bones, the tibia and the fibula, is very similar to the radius and the ulna. And so what we want to do if we have pain coming down here in this vessel between the radius and the ulna is we want to come down here onto this vessel that's between the tibia and the fibula. Interestingly enough, that is the Yang Ming vessel, the stomach vessel. The stomach Yang Ming balances the Sen Jiao, which is the Xiaoyang up here. They go together. They're a pair in Chinese medicine. And so what you can do is you can start on the outside of that tibia bone that you can feel on your shin when you're a runner. If you're a crazy runner, I don't like to run. That's why I call you crazy. I'm not judging you. Well, yes, I am. Deal with it. You're going to start up here and you're going to press against that bone. And if you're a runner, this is where you get the shin splints. And you're going to press on this area and you're going to press down and just kind of rub this area out. And you can do the trick with a pen if you find some areas that are rather ouchy when you're pressing them, and it'll blow your mind because you didn't even know that they hurt. You can press on those areas, and the technique in Chinese translates to one thumb meditation, where you're putting your thumb on that area and you're just kind of vibrating it a little bit.
That's the trigger point therapy too, like I was
Yeah.
talking about with the neck, they go hand in hand.
So another thing you can do when you eat too much and you've got that indigestion, because we're not moving our bodies, and so therefore our digestion is real sluggish. And we talked last week about making sure that you're having regular bowel movements. 2 to 3 a day is optimal. I'm going to throw my pen because I don't need it anymore. Start up here at the base of the knee, on the lateral base of the knee here, and you're going to take your thumb and you're going to run it along the tibia, the edge of that tibia, and go downward. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're just going to rub this for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And what you're going to find is that's going to start increasing peristalsis, that movement of the smooth muscles through the gut. And it's going to start moving how things pass through the gut. The other thing that you can do is an old Qigong movement, which Qigong means Qi, air. You'll see a video on this site that shows this Qigong movement, and it was back in my early days before I had done enough study. You can never do enough study. But I translated Qigong to be energy work because that's the colloquial translation. Qi means breath, means vital air. Gong means work, so air work. But what Qigong is, it's movement coupled with specific breathing. So when you are doing, I thought it was his arm. When you are doing specific Qigong movement, you can actually increase peristalsis and get the bowels moving better. So if you're feeling sluggish, do that movement, that massage on the outside of your tibia, but then sink down into your Qigong stance where your feet are a little wider than shoulder width apart. Tip your pelvis forward a little bit. Try to imagine a straight line between the top of your head and the end of your tailbone. So your pelvis is straight, your shoulders are straight, your neck is straight, and you're just trying to relax. And you can just start slowly breathing in and moving your hands like this as you breathe out. And just slowly breathe in and out. And what you'll find is, after a few minutes of this, you'll probably end up having to go to the bathroom. Because this movement, for some reason, we have no idea why it works, but this movement will start causing your peristalsis to increase. So if you want to be real traditional, you'll do it in sets of 3. You'll do the cycle 3 times. If you don't care about tradition, do it however many times you want. But that is a proven Qigong technique to get the bowels moving. Now, why am I paying such a big deal about getting the bowels moving? Because, exactly right, as we talked last week, if you can get that inflammation moved out of your gut, you can get all of those biotoxins that your body's producing, all of your bacteria and bugs that you house, Think of yourself as a very large apartment block. Hopefully you're not a low-rent apartment block. If you are, then we need to employ some of these tips so that we can get you feeling better and raise your rent. Get a better class of bugs. So if we can get all of the biotoxins that these things are excreting out of us, we're not going to be reshuffling them around our body, getting it into the joints, causing joint inflammation, getting it into our brain, causing brain fog. There's actually more neurological connection in the gut than there is in the brain. So if there's stagnation in the gut and a local inflammatory expression, you're going to have all kinds of brain fog.
You think maybe that's why, too, people that are normally cool, calm, and collected right now, you're seeing are a little bit more on edge, agitated?
That's a big part of it.
Okay.
That's a big part of it. The other aspect of that is the people that are normally cool as cucumbers, and now they're just,
they're not the same person.
You look at them and they're acting like a pit viper, and you're wondering, I wonder if I'm infrared in their vision. Those poor people are struggling right now because, remember we talked about the vasodilation and how getting outside and moving your body causes an increase in blood pressure or heart rate. It causes vasodilation, which is the decrease in blood pressure, and it causes the endorphin release. Well, if they're not moving their bodies, if they're not taking some herbs to cause this to happen, all of those blood vessels are going to be very constricted, and that includes all of the blood vessels in that prefrontal cortex. What's happening in the prefrontal cortex? In some of us, not much. In others, that's where we interact with the world around us. That's where we filter everything. That's where everything comes in and it gets processed and then gets shuffled around in various other parts of the brain and the cells of the body. So when that prefrontal cortex isn't getting the blood that it needs because of all of the vasoconstriction, because we're not moving our bodies, because of the stress makes you go like this, and it does that to your vascular system as well. Now your prefrontal cortex can't get the blood supply that it needs on the scale that it needs. And so certain cells of your prefrontal cortex aren't getting the oxygen and the glucose that they need to then translate into ATP. And the brain tissue needs more glucose. Why? Because there's more mitochondria in each cell of your brain than anywhere else in the body. Whereas I think your heart has, I want to say, around 10,000 mitochondria per cell. Your brain's in the millions. So if you're not getting that vasodilation to get the oxygen, to get the good carbons, to get the good sugars that your body needs to those cells, you're not going to be functioning. You're going to have depression. The other aspect is, did you know your gut produces more serotonin than your brain? And I may have that wrong. It might be dopamine.
Brain-gut connection.
But there's that brain-gut connection. So if you are eating the wrong foods and you're not moving your bowel's not going to be producing enough neurotransmitter, which is then going to make your brain to not produce enough neurotransmitter, which means you're going to be depressed. So what do you got to do to get out of that depression? First thing you do is you move your body. Move your body so that your brain gets the blood and the oxygen and the nutrients. Move your gut so that you can get the yuck out of you, so that your body can start producing neurotransmitters. Move your body so that your brain can start.
Casualty.
Poor man. He's lost a leg. He doesn't have a leg to stand on. Shake hands. The point is, you want movement.
Yes.
Care for a leg? This is what happens when you get your models from cheap overseas websites. They lose things like limbs. So from a Chinese perspective, Chinese medicine perspective, these would be my recommendations for self-care. Lastly, and we've already talked about this, vitamin D.
Yes.
Get in the sun. If you are taking statin drugs, what does a statin drug do with vitamin D?
Breaks it down.
It-
Use it.
Why? Because vitamin D is a cholesterol.
You need it.
You need vitamin D. You need cholesterols. But unfortunately, statin drugs are non-discriminative, and they will just completely decimate the amount of vitamin D in our body.
And that's too on statins. Why sometimes people fake and they'll just have all over body pain, and they'll be put onto a statin newly from their doctor, and then maybe it takes a little bit to kick in, but they're like, why do I hurt all over now?
Right. And it creates this downward spiral because eventually they'll get put on gabapentin, and that will create all kinds of other problems, and then eventually they'll end up on insulin and diabetic medications because now it's a downward spiral. So if you can, get a hold of one of us. We'll set up a telemedicine conference with you to work with you and give you some options. But if you can't do that, just get outside. Get outside so that your body can start producing some vitamin D. You will be amazed at how much that helps.
Yes, definitely. And then I'll give you guys one more round for the lower back that you can do at home too. So you kind of get all. I'm really be okay. I think I can show it from here. So I have a fit ball there. It's almost like the top of an exercise ball. Not everybody has an exercise ball at home, or one of these. You can get them off of Amazon, so they're great with that. But you can also use the corner of your mattress if you don't have a big footboard on it to kind of get that motion. You can also use the back of the chair. So I'll show you with the back of the chair. I've noticed that there's a lot of women that are due in April, May this year. It seems like they're all boys. I don't know why, but I know all the ones that I've seen, a lot of boys this year. So you want to keep moving because everybody's getting close to that time where they're going to have their babies, things are locking up, or you're just sitting on the couch a lot and not moving and your lower back is locking up. So you're going to make a figure 8 with your hips like that. So you just got to picture it. You got to think of the center of the dot as that figure 8. So you can grab onto a chair like this. If it is somebody that's pregnant, take a wide stance, but make sure that it is firm. You don't want to fall or anything like that. But let that gravity help you. And then, go side to side with your hips. You don't got to do anything too crazy. It's just getting that motion. Almost like if you were like skiing, I would say. You're pushing side to side like that. And that's making that figure 8 with your hips. You can also do it on the edge of a mattress, in the very corner. So pretend that's the corner of the mattress. I'm going to make circles, little circles with it going around. You might feel some snap, crackle, pops, as Mo said, in through there, but you're opening up those disc spaces, taking some of that pressure off them. Go back and forth. You can even do this if you're in your car and you're on the way to get your essential stuff for the week. You can do a few of them in the seat. Nobody's going to see you. You'll be fine. Wake that up, though. Get some motion in through there. And then I'll show you guys one more that you can do on the wall. Just stretch these big muscles through here. Let's see. You can kind of see it in there. So we'll pretend. Let's see this. So you'll come on the wall in the corner here. You're making a 90-degree angle.
Need to speak up.
Okay. We'll do it this way. You can make 90-degree angle. So you can see right here. And now I'm bringing my hips towards the wall. And then you can do the other side too. Bring it to the wall. And that's going to stretch those big muscles in your lower back out. And I do that about for 10 seconds each, and then I take a 5-second break in between. You're not going to overdo it, but a lot of people will, instead of just bringing their hips in, they'll make their arm bend. You're not getting anything out of that. You got to feel it stretch in your lower back. So those are a few ones for your lower back to wake it up. I have other ones that I can give you guys too if you have a specific area of your body that you want to, loosen up before you can go out and get some help. So if you have any questions, just leave us a comment and we'll try to answer them for you. So that's all I got.
Okay.
Well, do you got anything?
Not at the moment, but now we will open it up to questions. Come on over and have a seat, Doc. Isn't that nice?
He's cute.
Isn't that nice of Slim? He's always so supportive. See, that's what your skeleton does. It supports you. It holds you up. It props you. Yee. I'm a dork. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and put it in. And go ahead and put it in the comment section or the chat section of your YouTube. And if you're putting it in on the Facebook side, I'm sorry, we're not going to see it because we don't have Facebook open. Well, we might. I can try it, but I don't know as we're going to see it just yet. So if you can, do it in the YouTube side. I just boogered that up. Imagine that. When you're doing these exercises, right now everybody's thinking, I'm feeling flabby. I'm feeling lousy. I want to start doing exercises. Be very, very careful. This is not the time to go and Rambo it because you're going to get yourself hurt.
These are easy, gentle stretches. Like I said, you're doing 10 seconds that you're actually actively doing that stretch, and then you're taking a 5-second break and going back into it. And for over 2 minutes, not 2 hours, 20 minutes, it's gentle.
And, not everybody has a weight set and a complete gym in their house, which is where weight-bearing exercise comes into play. Push-ups, a lot of people are going to be doing sit-ups and crunches. Be careful with those.
Planks are even better.
Planks are even better than sit-ups and crunches. And I don't know, maybe next week we can show you some other options for a good, safe core workout. Don't hurt yourself, because what's going to happen? If you hurt yourself, you're going to need to come into a clinic. And we're open on an emergency basis only. If you have a real issue, you call in. It's going to give you my cell phone number, and you're going to say, Mo, I threw my back out today doing jumping jacks and rolling push-ups. I don't even know what that is. But I'm going to be impressed, number one, and I'm going to be disappointed with your timing. But I would rather you, if that sort of a situation happened, I would rather you come in here for an assessment, see Dr. Noel, see me, let us assess you before anyone makes the determination of, yeah, you need to go into an emergency room and expose yourself to COVID-19 just so that you can get some muscle relaxers. There's better options out there than pharmaceutical muscle relaxers that are going to work much quicker. They're going to actually work to healing the problem as opposed to just relaxing a muscle. So we've got options for you. With that said, if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to ask them. If not, hold it for next week. If you end up with questions during the week, you can email them in info@silomcenter.com. If you have any needs of supplements or herbs, email it into info@silomcenter.com. We are checking that throughout the day. If you call into the clinic here, you'll notice that they give you my cell phone number. If you have a problem, call. I usually have this nearby, or I check it a few times a day. I check the email constantly. So, we have a question.
Awesome.
Ed says, hi, Mo and Noel. Do you think the amount of push-ups I'm doing affect my neck problems? you want to handle that, or do you want me to?
We'll both tackle it. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. So I have a question for our question giver. How many push-ups? Because, I don't know if it's, 15
Well,
or if it's 115.
see, I know this individual.
I do too. I don't want to relay exactly who, but they can tell us because I know that they know how many they do. And that's going to help me.
Ed, I
answer
can't
this
even
better.
count that high with my shoes and socks off. That's incredible. The guy's doing 1,200 a day. He's not doing them all at once. He's
Good.
breaking them up into sets. But I would strongly recommend focusing on form and slowing down the push-up and perfecting that form. And there's different ways to do push-ups to affect different muscle groups. When you have your elbows like so, and you're going straight down, that's going to put all of the pressure on the tricep. If you're coming out like here, and you're coming like so, number one, you're putting your subscapularis muscles and your rhomboids at risk. But if you do it right, that's going to be pulling on your pectoralis muscles. There's a number of ways to do it, but the question is, are you hurting your neck? You could be exacerbating your neck issues. That's a possibility.
It's a possibility. Like you said, though, the form is huge. If you're focusing in on that form and you're feeling the isolation of those muscles
Mm-hmm.
compared to whipping through it like some guys in their 20s do, which not everybody's in that age group, but like you said, the form is everything.
And Ed, I'm not going to say your age, but eat your heart out, 20-year-olds. This guy's tough as nails, and he could be your older brother. HIPAA, right?
HIPAA.
Eat your heart out, 20-year-olds. Ed, that's phenomenal. You could be causing neck pain, but it all goes back to form and not being able to see you do them. I can't say yay or nay. I would say be careful with that. One of the things that you can be doing is getting yourself a nice hot bath at the end of the day and putting in several cups of Epsom salt and soaking in that Epsom salt for at least 45 minutes. The magnesium that's in that Epsom salt is going to help to relax things. So that's not going to give you a free pass to not do your form correctly, but that's going to help to try to relieve some of those muscle aches and pains. And in your case, I think that would be very helpful.
And also, like you had mentioned before, and will they be able to click on this content later on in case they bumped in later? So, Ed, check back later if you just popped in now for it. But Mo gave us some really good self-care tips with neck pain that you went over specifically with the pressure points between the knuckles and the legs. So if you missed that, check that one out because that one's for you. So
yes. He says the push-ups do affect his wrists. He says he does them slowly and uses clenched fists as well as the flat hands. You'll find that the clenched fist is going to be easier on your wrists than the flat hands.
you're locking it in.
Right. And if you can get, little pieces of black iron pipe, 3/4 inch pipe, the little footing that it threads into that you screw it into a wall, get 2 of those, some elbows and some pipe nipples, screw it all together, and you've got little handles that you can hold on to and do your push-ups, and you can change your grips with it. That's going to be helpful. Okay. We have exhausted our time here. If there's any other questions, you can feel free to, again, email us info@silomcenter.com, and we will do everything we can to help you out. Until then, until next week, be safe and be well.
Thank you, guys.